It feels like Zack Snyder borrowed everything from greater sci-fi movies except for the good writing. Hi, my name is Ryan Lane, and welcome to my review channel. So for today's movie, I will be reviewing Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, directed and written by Zack Snyder, and starring Sofia Boutella, Dijon, Honsou, Skrein, Michiel, Huisman, Doona, Ray Fisher, Charlie Hunnam, and Anthony Hopkins. So the story focuses on Cora, played by Sofia Boutella. She is a seemingly simple farmer tending the fields in a small farming community. Aside from being prodded about her lack of a mate, everything seems to be going all right for her. That is until the Mother World military comes a-knocking, demanding that the farming village toss over virtually most of its grain. As a general played by Skrein puts it, they want everything. Not having any of this, Cora decides to journey with Gunnar, played by Michiel Huisman, to round up a team of mercenaries to defend the farming village. And along the way, Cora will be forced to confront her traumatic past. So yeah, like I said earlier in the intro, this film is hella derivative. This film borrowed so much from other movies, it's practically paying interest on the debt. That's how derivative this movie is. The story beats feel ripped clean from superior films, and much of the dialogue is dedicated to exposition dumps. Cora in particular, at one point, she has an exposition dump that features so much information, it feels like you could make a whole new movie just from that exposition dump alone. That's how much exposition dialogue we're working with, folks. The film also makes the mistake of having its main protagonist be kind of bland and derivative in nature, while sidelining the more interesting supporting characters. However, I will say the film does have a few decent payoffs. They're not mind-breaking, but they're competently done and have some decent visual flair to them. And there are a few scenes every now and then that can be tense. The best example being the initial confrontation between the farming village and the Mother World military. There's actually some decent tension to it. It had a creative dynamic to it. I enjoyed it. It was all right. So performance-wise, this film is pretty mixed. Skrein gives a decent, albeit typecast performance as Atticus Noble, a brutal and intelligent general with a thin veneer of charm. Skrein doesn't always have the most original of character beats to work with. One particular sequence I could see coming from a mile away. But Skrein does have some fun dialogue to work with, and with one particular dialogue involving honor being particularly interesting. So again, decent performance there. Sofia Boutella, she's all right as Cora, but her material doesn't give her much to work with, and she kind of succumbs to overacting at times. Like, there are certain moments that require her to be intense, and I was like, oh, that's adorable. I don't know. She's not very convincing as like this ultra intense, former, well, I won't spoil it, but she's a former something. I'll just leave it at that. Michiel Huisman, he's bland and forgettable as a sort of love interest farmer dude who sort of just tags along on the journey because, I don't know, he's there to help facilitate the plot rather than add charm to the story. And Ray Fisher, he's just completely wasted as a rebel leader who's barely given any screen time or much interesting personality to work with. The rest of the supporting cast is given interesting material, but unfortunately the film just doesn't know what to do with them. Anthony Hopkins lends charm and eloquence to Jimmy, a mechanical knight that served, a now slain king. But, I mean, the film doesn't have much use for him beyond delivering expositional dialogue, and the film just completely forgets about him after the first act. Doona, she gives a soulful performance as a grieving cyborg, with sort of pseudo lightsabers and cyborg arms. She's fun when she's given screen time. Dijon Honsou, his talent is wasted on a stereotypical washed up general with an alcoholism. And Charlie Hunnam, he isn't given enough screen time to take advantage of his charisma as Cary, a mercenary who's contracted by Cora. So, cinematography-wise, it's nice to see that Zack Snyder learned his lesson from Army of the Dead and realized there's more than one way to shoot a conversation other than using shot, reverse shot. Like, seriously, Army of the Dead uses way too many shot, reverse shot sequence compositions for conversations. It's really annoying once you notice it. Unfortunately, he didn't learn that he needs to ease up on his excessive use of slow motion because, good God, there is so much slow motion in this movie. Again, it doesn't approach the painful amounts that was featured in the Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it is still annoying. So much so that every time slow motion kicked in, I wanted to bitch slap some filmmaking 101 sense into Zack Snyder. Like, seriously, how in the Snyder Cut of Justice League, there's one moment where Barry Allen, he's trying to save a woman from a car accident, and at one point the film zooms in on a sesame seed as it floats in slow motion. Well, it's like as if Zack Snyder is trolling the audience. It's like, oh, you didn't like, me doing slow motion focus on one seed? Well, how about I show you several seeds in slow motion? That's the kind of slow motion we're dealing with, folks. Plus, unfortunately, the slow motion hobbles what looks to be some otherwise fun action sequences, though the slow motion isn't the only problem with them. The action scenes, while they don't feature the worst editing I've seen, there's still clearly too much editing going on. It feels like a bit of a hack and slash job in the editing bay. So again, otherwise the action scenes look decently choreographed enough. There's some fun pew-pewing with the lasers and the swords and such. I just wish I enjoyed it more is all. As I said earlier, the film is severely indebted to superior sci-fi movies, and that extends to the film's visuals. That being said, there is a certain kind of fun charm to seeing a whole bunch of sci-fi influences mishmashed together in the visuals. It clearly had a lot of thought and effort put into it. And again, the film does have a bit of a plastic Netflix original vibe to the CG, but I'm willing to chalk that up more to Netflix's notorious inability to treat its CGI artists properly. So again, like I said, the visuals have a fun charm to them, despite being, pretty derivative. So though it benefits from a sincere approach and fun visuals, Rebel Moon Part 1 suffers from derivative writing and directorial overindulgence. So with all that in mind, I will be giving Rebel Moon Part 1 2 out of 5 stars. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. If you like this review and would like to see more like it, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. And for today's comment section prompt of the day, what is your favorite Zack Snyder movie and why?